This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian. And
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
This is Jeremy Prophet, a.k.a. the most entertaining wrestler in all of Canada, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, and that's the truth.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today. The trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I am, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with Jeremy Prophet.
Ooh, I love that intro. It's an intro fit for a king, and since I am King Independence here, especially in Canada, I appreciate that very much. I tell you, it's great to be on here with a fellow Jay as well. Myself being Jeremy Prophet, and one thing I can get to your audience might not be familiar with me is that I'm a guy who always speaks the truth. So I say what's on my mind. I don't believe in saying things that are popular. I believe in saying the right thing. So make it a little bit controversial, but you know what? That's what the people like to hear, because I don't sugarcoat anything, and I make sure people get 100% of the truth each and every single time, just like seeing one of my matches. So let's get this started. I am excited to talk some wrestling and some entertainment with you, my man.
Oh yeah. So first and foremost, where is Jeremy spreading the truth next event-wise?
I mean, I'm all over the place. You can find me coast to coast here in Canada. I'm based out of Montreal, Quebec, but I find my way to Ontario, to Saskatchewan, find my way out to British Columbia. I go wherever there's opportunity, because I'm someone who's serious about what I do. I want to make it to the big time. I'm not someone who's just a weekend warrior, who's just doing this for fun. That's not me. I'm in the gym. I am practicing and perfecting my wrestling 7 days a week. And I don't just say it. I mean, you guys want to follow me around for a day, you'll see. That's what I do. That's why the way I perform in the ring is so many levels above other people. And I'm not shy or bashful about how good I am, because I train really hard to be this good, and I've been doing it for, it's going to be 19 years come July. So you don't just get up off the couch or, 3-4 years in wrestling school or, on your local independent scene and think that you can go as hard as I can. I'm the best wrestler I know, and I have yet to meet my equal in that ring, regardless of what anyone's. If you see a wrestler out there who can talk and has as great of a physique and can perform at the level that I do, then by all means, let me know who that is, because I hate that person. I've yet to see him on my TV. So I'm someone who's very serious about this, and I want my opportunity to be able to go after the biggest names in this sport. I want people to revere me. I want to be talked about in the same breath that they talk the Kenny Omegas and the Will Ospreys and the Speedball Mike Baileys. That's what I want. So whenever my name is on the marquee, whenever you see Jeremy Prophet is coming to your town, there is a certain level of hype that I need live on, to make sure that I don't, care whoever your favorite wrestler is. I'm walking out of there as your favorite wrestler when all is said and done. That's who Jeremy Prophet is.
And where can we find you on social media and your merchandise?
Yeah, I'm all over social.
Jeremy?
Twitter, JJREMY. Prophet, Prophet, not spelt like the Street Profits, because I was a prophet way before those guys ever even laced up a pair of wrestling boots.
Right.
Yeah, that's where you can find me. You can see me on Jofo In The Ring, which is a podcast that I'm very proud to have been a part of. Still a part of it, although I haven't been in the studio for a while, because my career's been taken off and taking me to a lot of different places. But yeah, I'm not a hard guy to find. And especially if you're in Canada, Jeremy Prophet, coast to coast, looking to put on the best match of the night pretty much every night.
All right, and you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media and merchandise will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. All right, let's get into it. Now,
Yeah.
like you mentioned it, you've traveled everywhere. You've done a lot on the independents. The one thing I found interesting is that you wrestled for CCW. One of the better known independents, one of the longest running independents. Can you tell us about your experience wrestling for CCW?
Well, you're saying CCW,
Yeah,
right?
CZW.
Oh, CZW. No, it's funny, but I have not actually wrestled for CZW. You're talking about Combat Zone Wrestling
Yeah,
out of Delaware there, and previously out of Philly.
yeah.
No, I never got the opportunity to wrestle for CZW. I was supposed to. My good buddy Sexy Eddie had put in a word for me, and I was supposed to go, and then it never materialized. That some people might have, put a few knives in my back there, and maybe said some things to the promoter, but it never happened. But it was discussed because Eddie needed someone to drive him up. This was probably around like 2010, 2010, 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. And it never actually happened. And, I had met DJ Hyde, who was running CZW tons of times, when I'd done some shows in Rhode Island, tons of times, even when he came up here to Montreal for the IWS. And we did an IWS versus CZW show. So that's probably the closest thing to CZW was we did IWS versus CZW.
Okay, that's what I saw.
In Montreal. I did the opener. I did actually the second match on that card against Sexy Eddie. Best match on the show, regardless of what anyone will tell you. Go look it up if you can. And every time I'd bug DJ Hyde, but he'd tell me that he liked my look and felt I had something good to offer, but it was just one of those things where you just got to stay on top of somebody. But I would have loved to perform for CZW. I remember getting CZW DVDs back when we had guys from here going down there and getting the opportunity to perform. Love their product. I love violence. Plain and simple. I love violence. Whether it be, in regular sports, whether it be professional wrestling, whether it be combat sports, I'm a violent, aggressive guy myself. Always have been in all the sports that I've done. See it in my wrestling. I pride myself on being super aggressive in there. So yeah, I liked the brand of what CZW was. Just unfortunately, never got the opportunity to go perform for them over there. But I love it when I get questions like this because the path that I've taken in wrestling, I think it's so unique because I can't think of another wrestler who has had such a consistent schedule as me. 19 years, I've never been injured. Like, never once got injured to the point where I had to miss a show or anything. Never took a break. Never had a mental health issue, what it is. That's not a part of me. Never had to really, take my foot off the gas, just going balls to the walls all the time. I don't like being at home. I want to be in the ring. I want to be performing. And if you've seen any of my matches, like you see the quality of wrestling that I put out there. So like I've had an amazing schedule. And it's when people will tell me like, oh, hey, what are your thoughts on this company, that company? It's like, I've had over 1,000 matches. I sold for so many different companies, so many different towns and places I would have never had the opportunity to see if it weren't for the wonderful sport of professional wrestling. So it's pretty cool when someone will bring up something like that, and it'll take me a while to have to think and be like, oh, where do they get that piece of information from? And, I'm glad that the internet is so diverse now because I can say these things, but now there's actual, sites like Cage Match, a lot of other ones where like they actually track a lot of these matches that I often tell people about. But, there it is, the town name, how long the match was, match rating, all that stuff. It's super cool to see. It may be a little old. It's like I tell people, I've been doing this a long time, but like I'm not a young kid, but I'm not an old man either. Like I'm in the prime of my life.
Right.
And I've been fortunate that from the time I started to where I am now, I've seen so much change in the wrestling business, like technology wise and structurally, just so much has changed, and for the better. So it's really cool when someone will bring up a little tidbit like that, and then it'll lead me down memory lane.
I want to take a not following up with DJ personally. It's more of a pattern rather than occurrence with him.
Well, hey, I actually, was hoping to get a match with him at some of these places too, because sometimes people only know how good you are when you're actually in there with them. Like, I tell people, you look at Jeremy Prophet, and I'll be the first to say I have a very high opinion of myself, but like, I work very hard to be as good as I am. Michael Jordan has a very high opinion of himself. All the greats have that high opinion, and it's because we put in the work. We know the work that we do, and we know the quality of the product that we put out. So I'm very proud of it. I'm not someone who walks with my head down just because society tells you, oh, you're supposed to be humble and what. It's like, no, you do the work, you earn your, and you own your success. And fine, if someone can go out there and do more than I can, then power to them. But like, I know what I eat, breathe, and sleep every single day for this sport, so I'm damn proud of it. I'm not letting any that away from me. With that said, I feel like I'm the kind of wrestler where if you look at me and you think I'm a 9 on 10, believe me, you get in the ring with me, you'll find out I'm a 20 on 10.
Now, like you mentioned, you're not new to this. But most recently you trained with the Nightmare Factory. So,
Yes.
Somebody that is, in, a 10 plus years in the business, you obviously know what you're doing. So how did you kind of take that experience? Was it maybe somewhat lethargic?
No, absolutely not. I want to immerse myself in professional wrestling. I want to be doing this 7 days a week. I had the opportunity to get some really good scouting opportunities when I played baseball, played high-level junior ball, and was given some opportunities to go and, pretty much the Canadian equivalent of like a scholarship and go into programs where I would be recruited into doing baseball 7 days a week between practices and games and whatnot, and getting an education at the same time. And I turned it down because as talented as I was, I didn't love the game of baseball. And I see people who reflect that in wrestling, that like they're very talented, but they're not passionate about professional wrestling. And that's one thing that I'll put up there. My skills aside, I am extremely passionate about this, and I dare you to find someone as passionate about wrestling as I am, who learns, continues to watch wrestling in its many forms over and over to just dissect the minutia and the rudimentary aspects as much as the more superficial details. I observe this as a science and want to continue growing as a performer, both physically and mentally, because wrestling is just as much a mental game, maybe even more so a mental game than a physical one. So I relished the opportunity to go to the Nightmare Factory and learn from the best. To get to go in there. And it's ironic because I went there because QT Marshall took a chance on me. He could have just as easily shown anybody else in the Wrestling Academy competition that I did that was organized by Jacques Rougeau, but he chose me and gave me that opportunity, which is the closest thing I've had to any kind of a developmental contract or an opportunity. That's all it is. I just want an opportunity. I want a chance to step up to the plate and show that I can hit a home run. I want a chance to get on the ice and show I can put the puck in the net, or get on the field and show that I can run for that touchdown. And he gave that to me. And he's someone who's had a very a similar career path to me. Believe it or not, I think he's about a year older than me. We debuted around the time. My actual in-ring debut was before his. Just that I was in Canada and he was in New Jersey. But again, it comes down to opportunity presenting itself. And so for me, it wasn't as though I was walking and I know all of this. I'm above this. That wasn't it at all. It's like, what do I not know? What things do I do maybe at a 99% proficiency that I can sharpen up to 100? Cody Rhodes himself said it about Cody Rhodes, who I have an outstanding relationship with. If I had to compare Cody and QT, Cody's more of a friend. QT is like and Cody said it, that when it came to my promos, for example, he said, your promos, like you're coming in here hitting triples right off the bat, but we want to turn those triples into homes. And so that's what it was for me. It's like, I am not content. Use whatever sports metaphor you want. I'm not content hitting triples. I want home runs. I want runs in every at bat. I don't want to just win every game 2-0, 3-0. I want to win 10-0. I want to drive the point home to where, you know, someone steps in the ring with me and says, wow, like, I don't know what my place is in the business if there's a guy this good at everything that is still not signed to a major company. I want to blow away my opponents the same way I want to blow away fans. I want to achieve that no one can match, and I strive for that. And maybe it's because I'm not signed to a big money contract. Maybe I'd become lazy. I don't think I would, but maybe that's why, because I'm not signed to a big money contract, and week to week I see people on TV who don't possess the skills that I have. And, you know, I've often said it, like, you know, give me that opportunity, give me the same opportunity, same level playing field as anyone, and I will run that faster than them. I will do things that people do not even think would be possible, that a wrestler with this much talent exists. You know, I'd love for any company to say, okay, fine, put your money where your mouth is. That thing. Every company I go to, I talk all this trash, I say all these things. Not once have I ever dropped the ball. Not once have I ever not delivered. It's why I'm on pace to more championships than anyone in the history of this country, which, you know, is mind-blowing that I've currently won close to 50 championships. It may in fact be 50. I won one not that long ago, and I think that might have put me at 50. Vance Nevada, who is of a historian here in Canada, who is much older than me, though. He's, I believe, been wrestling for north of 20, 25, almost 30 years. I think at 60 or so, he has the record. But he's been wrestling much longer than me, like close to 10 years more than me. So I'm closing in on that, and at the rate that I'm going, I'm going to get that. But yeah, like I said, it's like, you know, put me under a microscope, you know, examine me. My talent speaks for itself, and I truly believe I am one of the best in the world at this sport that we love, professional wrestling, just waiting for my opportunity, waiting for someone to call me on my bluff. But I don't bluff. I speak the truth. I know how good I am. I know what I have to offer. Like I say, you know, better than the guys you see on TV, better than you ever have, better than you ever will be. And I believe that in my heart and soul, that, you know, there are people on TV that do not possess the entire package of talent that I do. And I would love the opportunity to the best of them and show that my skills are best in the world.
Now, it seems like there was a lot of, you know, positive moments training at the Nightmare Factory. But
absolutely.
There was one oh shit moment at the Nightmare Factory too. I'm referring to one of the other students calling out QT Marshall.
Who is?
Huh?
What was his name? Was he a part of my camp?
Yeah, Jin Melancholy.
Oh, he called out QT. What? Tell me about it. I'm not aware of this.
Yeah, he at the camp he called out and he QT and he said something of the lines that you say positive things about everybody else, but not me.
Did he say he said this in an interview? Where did he say this?
With me. I interviewed him last week.
Okay.
And he came after, you know, the whole ordeal. You actually came up and gave him some advice.
Yeah. Okay. No, I was confused. I didn't know if you were referring to at the camp or if this was something that he said in an interview.
No.
Yeah. So Jin, I like Jin. I'll be honest. When Jin first got there, he had kind of, as we say in the business, he got himself some heat with some of the people there. And me, I didn't mind him because, again, I've been in a lot of wrestling locker rooms, and you have to understand that at that camp, I think we were 7 or 8 who had experience in the business. And then there were a bunch of others who had never wrestled before. So in addition to not knowing the physical stuff in the ring, they didn't know the etiquette of wrestling, the politics of wrestling, those kinds of things. So for me, I kind of felt like the comparison I used was like, I felt like we were a sports team. And being that I had the most experience of everybody there, I kind of felt like I had to step up and be the troubleshooter, be the, you know, I don't want to say the team captain, but like the team leader, I had been in the trenches and I've seen all of these little things happen before. So, I had to be the one to go and talk to guys and explain to them that this is how things are done in the wrestling business. And Jin, someone that had gotten a lot of heat from a couple of the guys there, and that I think started to wear on him. And I actually had to go and talk to the guys too and said, guys, look, it's happened in wrestling, but you need to understand that we still have a job to do to go in there and perform. Now, again, I say a job, but they're all paying to be there. But it's also the fact that if or when they become professional wrestlers, they're going to have to work much like I do with people that are not my friends, people that maybe I don't like. I've done it. I still do it. And that's what being a professional is. You have to put your personal feelings aside for the sake of the paying customer, because the fans should never have to suffer beef or personal animosity between wrestlers. And this is what I explained to Jin, and it's what I explained to the others too. And I gathered all the others together and I said, look, guys, whether you like or not, you need to understand that you are going to have to work with him. He's going to be here. He's going to be in the class. And the last thing you want is for something to go wrong, because, it can happen in wrestling that you do something and maybe the move doesn't get done correctly. Somebody gets hurt. You don't want that person thinking that you hurt them on purpose. And if you get hurt, you don't want it in the back of your mind that that person took a liberty on you. Yeah. So that's part of the business that you guys all need to understand. You don't understand it because you've never wrestled, but you need to be professional and you need to get along. You don't have to, I'm tempted to say something like go out for beers with the guy, who's never drank a day in his life, but you don't have to, go for supper with the guy and buy him Christmas cards or whatever, but you need to be professional. Right. You need to in there and you're working together, that you're not trying to injure that person, and they should have the same respect for you. And then I said, and I made the guys go and, all shake hands with Jin. And I said, look, do it. And whether you want to or not, just being professional is saying we might have our differences outside the ring, but when we're in there, your safety is going to be paramount in my book. And I think I went a long way towards to quashing some of the heat and the animosity, and from there
you cut out for a moment.
Yeah.
For the end.
Where did I cut out?
That you squashed the animosity. That was the last thing.
I quashed the animosity, and then slowly but surely, Jin started doing better, fitting in. I actually, I have a lot of respect I have respect for anybody who's willing to get in the ring and follow their dream. And Jin came all the way from, and that is not easy to do. Take it from me, who came from his country that, was 20 some odd hours away. I can't even fathom how many by car, but how many hours away Kuwait was. So when it comes to Jin, I mean, to me, I had not to say a soft spot, but it's it takes balls on another level to go to another country for 3 months, immerse yourself in a totally different culture and follow your dream. I respect that. I respected everyone who's there doing that. I actually had more respect for the guys who, had never wrestled than the ones who had, because that making that jump and then doing it, in the biggest wrestling school in the world, that's an intimidating prospect to even us. So I really wanted to make sure that these guys there, they got a good understanding of how the business works, and to make sure that they weren't letting personal stuff get in the way of business, because this is a business. Yeah. And it needs to first and foremost be about making sure that the people get the best show possible. The people who work 9 to 5, who get their hands dirty, who can get that money to be able to go see the show or bring their kids to the show, whatever it is, they should always be leaving saying, you know what, I got my money's worth. That's my motivation. Is to make sure that that person who maybe has to choose between maybe putting gas in their car or hopping on a and bringing their kids to a show realizes they made the right decision because they saw my match and that gave them this awesome feeling, the same feeling like when you go see a great movie, so you can take the fans. Personal animosity should never get in the way of that. That's why people ask me, we know you don't like this guy, you don't like that guy, would you ever work with them? And it's like, yeah, I'd work with them, because it's like business comes before personal life. And it's something I had to learn along the way. But at the same time, you want to be successful in this business, it's got to be business first.
No, you're absolutely right, and I love that mentality.
Yep.
No.
And it's just to say, it's like, it's nice to make friends in this business, but you got to have a mindset. And I think that's what helps people get through all the politics, because the wrestling is easy, but the politics, that's the hard part.
And shout out to Jen, friend of the show, as well.
Yeah.
Now you did a shot for AEW on AEW Dark against Penelope Ford and Kip Sabian with Jessica Black. Could you tell us about that experience for you?
Yeah, it was an awesome experience. We got to be the first wrestling match in Canada for AEW, so they can never take that away from me. I was the first match on Canadian soil for All Elite Wrestling, and got to do it beside one of the greatest women wrestlers in Canadian wrestling history. She holds 4 championships presently, Jessica Black. My partner in and out of the ring, just so talented, such a good human being. And I really think that Kip Sabian and Penelope were such a perfect choice of opponents. Kip and I think our views of wrestling are very similar, and had there not been certain restrictions, time restrictions and whatnot, I think we really could have had the best match on that entire card. I'm not even joking. From top to bottom, I think, take the restrictions out of place, we could have blown the roof off of that place. And yeah, I mean, I looked at some of the pairings. I kind of figured out some patterns when looking at Dark. And, I watch all content. I watch everything that AEW puts out. I want to work for the company. I want to work for all of the major companies in wrestling. So it starts with watching their product, which consumes a lot. But I watched every Dark, every Elevation, every Dynamite, every Rampage, everything. So I can be familiar with pretty much everybody there. And when we were going over the scenarios, Jessica and I, of who we might end up facing, either individually or collectively, one of the ones that we thought of was maybe Kip and Penelope. So that was on the list. We thought of Kip and Penelope. We thought of me and Ty Conti for mixed tags. And then we thought about like singles matches, like who we'd be paired up with. And I know for my style, the kind of opponent that I would want. And Kip was perfect. I was very happy when we found out. We were actually getting our promo shots taken backstage. And that's when Sean Dean came over and said it was going to be us against Kip and Penelope. I had to then go change into my gear, Jessica's, so we look like a team. And looking back at it, like it was great. And I actually really hope I can get in the ring with Kip again, because like I said, I very much felt that we had a good chemistry and we could really just, give people a banger of a match if it happens again. And that wasn't my only appearance for AEW, but I'm sure you'll get that too.
The bicycle kick that Jade Cargill gave you?
Yeah. So, oh, that one. So that, how much of that story can I tell? I don't care. I came on here saying I just say whatever the hell I want. So yeah, I'll tell the story fully and unfiltered and uncensored. So what was really cool about that one was how it started. So they did a back-to-back Elevation Dynamite taping, followed by the next day 2 episodes of Dark and Rampage. And so earlier in the day, they came up with the matches and whatnot. I had nothing. I was just there in my suit, just hanging out stage, and I see Christopher Daniels talking with two of the other extra talents that were there. Don't remember who they were. And he was saying that they're not the right size. And so he said, I need someone like this guy's size. And he grabs a wrestler by the name of Junior Benito, who happened to be right there. And he's like, and I need someone else. And I'm like, I'll do it. Now, I don't know what I was volunteering for, but I just happened to be there. And I spoke to Christopher Daniels earlier in the day. I'd actually met Christopher Daniels several years ago at Wrestle Center in Nova Scotia. We were on shows together, shared a locker room together. Not to say that we're like friends or anything, or he even remembered me, but like I had met him before and, you know, felt comfortable talking to him. And I had talked to him about my ambitions of wanting to join the company, because I'm not there as an extra talent. I know people go there, but I don't have insecurities like a lot of wrestlers do. Like, I know I have a place on television. I really feel like, you know, again, I'm just born in the wrong place. You know, Canada doesn't have good scouting. If I was an American, you know, in the conversation for my Hall of Fame ring. But unfortunately, I lived in Montreal, Quebec, and not somewhere on the other side of the border where the independent scene actually is a platform that holds you a world stage. But with that said, he just said, you know, I need someone else his size or his height or whatever it might have been. And I said, like, I'll do it. I'll do it. Like, you know, with confidence. Did not know what I was signing up for. They might have wanted to take me into the back and you know, probe me with a baseball bat for all I know. But with that said, I got to do the security gig for Cage. We had filmed a skit earlier with Nyla, Vicky Guerrero, and Marina Shafir. And we then did the entrance with Nyla and company. Nyla was a pleasure to work with. Jessica had actually wrestled with Nyla before, so that they knew each other. Yeah. I had met Vicky Guerrero before. If you listen to other podcasts, I'm sure I told the story about when I wrestled on SmackDown, and Vicky Guerrero, the most supportive people, very kind and supportive, back in 2010 when I wrestled on SmackDown. And didn't know Marina Shafir, but she seemed all right too. And so, yeah, so we did that security. So we went over the spot, and it was with many people, many producers on that one. Christopher Daniels, Chris Jericho, Don Callis, many producers in that segment. And so, or am I supposed to say coaches? Well, producers is a WWE term, so coaches. Anyways, all that to say, we went over the kick, Jade and I. It was very cool to get to work with Jade. I don't think we had trained at the Nightmare Factory together, but we would train there at the Nightmare Factory for many times over the course of the 3 months when I was down there, because I was doing the beginners and the advanced course. So the advanced course has more of the TV people in it. But I think that was the first time I had met Jade, and you know, we talked about it. We walked through it, and it came time for the actual spot to happen. A few other people in the segment kind of missed their cue, and they ended up kind of going astray, and it derailed a little bit of the actual structure of what was supposed to happen. But nonetheless, Jade and I get our moment, and there I am, face to face with Jade. She comes down the ramp, gets all into is going crazy. I brace for what's about to happen. She winds up and she kicks me. So on TV, not to kill the punchline here, on TV, she gave me the kick, and they go to that wide angle. And I said, much like I do with everything, I am going to sell this. I'm going to do some kind of over-the-top, obnoxious, dangerous, deadly bump to, at worst, I want to go to the back, and I want people to be like, you know, how are you still alive? Because I have that talent. I'm very durable. As much as I'm offensively like aggressive, I can take a lot too. I have a high pain tolerance, punishment tolerance. So I want to do some memorable, crazy bump that people are going to remember, and you know, I'm going to do whatever it takes to get me signed. You know, I'm the matador going in there and fighting the bull because I want to make my living doing this. TV, I think it looked great, and Twitter had a riot with it, and there were GIFs and all these kinds of things, and that was great. The truth of it is that she comes down the ramp. She's all excited and all psyched up and everything. The crowd is going crazy. I see the intensity in her eyes. She winds up for the kick. I'm expecting it to hit me in the face, and she kicked me in the hip. The kick landed on my hip. Now, why she didn't get a lot of height and didn't extend her leg or whatever reason for that. I don't know. Maybe she didn't warm up enough backstage. Maybe her potassium levels were a little low. Things cramped up on her. I don't know, but she kicked me in the hip. That's the truth of it.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, just going back to, the match with Kip and Penelope. You mentioned it being the first ever AEW match on Canadian ground. And you're with Jessica and whatnot. Is that a moment that you take in the moment, or is that something that kind of sets in like afterwards? Like, wow, I did this.
Great question. So when I did SmackDown in 2010, and that's one of the only things I compare to it because that was in Ottawa. It was in the same arena where the Ottawa Senators play. And it was at that time, and for the longest time, and probably still to this day, the largest crowd I've ever performed in front of, about close to 20,000 or so. And I remember not nervous whatsoever. But again, I said I want to savor every minute of that moment, that I get to be a WWE superstar. And from the moment I walked through and locked eyes with Vince McMahon and walked out the curtain, walked down the ramp, I was loose. My partner at the time, Tyler Turva, he was very nervous. And he was a little younger than me and a lot in the business at the time when we did that in 2010. And he was very nervous. And I was just like, nah, man, this is supposed to be fun. This is the opportunity of a lifetime. We got picked out of, close to 20 people that year to get this opportunity, to be on TV, to do something that I've from the moment I started my training, I felt I was destined to do. And so I took it all in. I even went up on the ropes and posed. And I don't know if you're not supposed to do or whatever. And, people were all on eggshells. Like, that's not me. Like, I know I belong here. I don't have like the fear and insecurity in general. I'm a person who doesn't live with a lot of fear. Like I don't fear people's opinions. I don't fear people yelling at me or talking down to. I don't fear words. I would maybe fear a person pointing a loaded gun at me, but unless it's threatening to take me off this planet, I don't fear it. I don't fear words. I don't fear those kinds of things. I laugh in the face of that. So yeah, I went up on the ropes and I posed and I was having a good time. And it was the same with the match in Canada on Dark with Kip and Penelope. It was that I soaked in every moment of it and I'm having a good time. This is what I was meant to do. I appreciate every second of it. Funny little story, and if you talk to Jessica, she'll tell you. But one of the things I like to do when I like to talk to everybody. Some people, they hide in catering. They just don't want to get in anybody's way. And it's like, I want to have stories to be able to come on here and tell you guys. I want to be able to have these experiences. And I talk to a lot of people just to be able to, get a story and also to gain knowledge. Because these are people who have, for better or for worse, achieved a lot more than me and can teach me about I haven't been. So I want to pick their brains and add to my own repertoire and stuff. Or also just get some good anecdotes talking to them. So I like talking to everybody. And I remember right before the match, it's close to showtime, but I don't know close. And anyone who knows me well knows that one of my favorite wrestlers. So I have favorite wrestlers in terms of I like the persona. I like, what they presented for the long time. Someone like Chris Jericho was one of my favorites. And that's, Jericho, everything that he does. But in terms of in-ring wrestling, what happens from bell to bell, my
Jeremy, can you hear me?
And it's just unfortunate that he was never pushed to the WWE title, so people don't view him or don't view his.
Cutting you off, could you repeat who your absolute favorite was? You kind of cut out.
Oh, my absolute favorite is Christian Cage.
Okay.
Without a doubt. For in-ring wrestling from bell to bell, Christian Cage. And I don't think there's anybody that comes close to his storytelling, to his in-ring work, everything about it, to the emotional roller coaster he takes people on. And he was one of the few people I didn't get a chance to talk to leading up to the match. And then as we're walking to what they call in the WWE the gorilla position, the standby, Jessica goes down the hole and she passes Christian, and then she begins to panic. She's like, oh, he's there. Jeremy's going to start talking to him. And of course, I start talking to him. Like I said, his work should be praised on the level of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, and it's only because he wasn't pushed to the WWE title that people, consider him like a mid-carder. But if you watch his work, it is so fantastic. There is, to me, no better in-ring performer in my lifetime that I've ever seen than Christian. And then I got the opportunity to talk with him, and we start talking, and then Jessica's like, our match is now. We have to get out there. They're telling us to go out there now. So said a quick goodbye to him, and then right thing. And I was telling her, this is fun. Watch, you're going to see. It's going to be fun. I'm in there. I'm smiling. And then got in the ring and soaking it all in, looking at everybody there, and then getting ready for a fight, because hey, it's I'm not in there with Kip Sabian and they're in there with me. I'm the danger they got to deal with. So then it's getting down to business. And every moment of that. Even the next time around when I did AEW Collision against Powerhouse Hobbs, it was the same kind of thing, and soaked in every minute of it, cool as a cucumber. And Dasha seemed a little worried she was going to get my name wrong, and I'm like, no, don't worry about it. It's Jeremy Prophet. It's easy, like a prophet in the Bible. Easy. It's going to be fun. And I was in there for an entire commercial break, and I was in the crowd going and doing my thing, because it's like, hey, they don't tell me I can't do any of this, so I'm going to do whatever I can to make people notice me. I'm not just going to stand there like a scared child in grade recital. No, I'm a professional. I work day in, day out to be able to have these moments. Like I'm telling you, I'm an independent wrestler of a whole other breed. I'm not some person who's just doing this for the sake of, having fun and living out their childhood dream. No, I'm very serious. I'm a shrewd businessman when I'm in there. So to me, it's like when you're a professional, you need to worry. You don't need to rush. You don't need to worry, because you put in the work so that you can get in there and be on autopilot. And that's how I am. I am at peace. I am doing the thing I love most in this world when I am wrestling, and especially getting to wrestle for a national televised audience, and I had people telling me like, oh, because, you're going to be on live. What if something goes wrong? I'm like, nothing is going to go wrong. This is what I want to do. I don't feel pressure. Pressure makes diamonds, and I'm a diamond already.
All right. Now, you mentioned Jessica. Can you tell us about the advantages and disadvantages of teaming up with your significant other?
Absolutely no disadvantage whatsoever. God is my witness. There is no disadvantage. She's the best partner that I have, and our matches speak for themselves. The stuff that we're able to do, I have not seen any other intergender tag team that is as good as we are. At least not in Canada. Because to be fair, I think in the United States there might be a few that we could do some great work with, but in Canada we are number one by a landslide. There is no downside. The matches that we have are fantastic. We're on the same wavelength. We think the same. It's a lot of fun. I feel that wrestling, again, first and foremost, is a business, but it should also be fun. It's something that I tell people. It's like, you need to go out there and have fun. You shouldn't be going out there and worrying. And I don't. I mean, I go out and have fun. It's, believe it or not, it's something they taught us in our factory, and it's true. The more you can go out there and have fun, then the better you do. And so that's something with Jessica is like, I'm always having fun when I'm in there teaming with her and making sure that, we're doing the best matches possible. But yeah, no, it's easy. I think if I get paired up with a random partner, it's older if it's not somebody who's in my orbit all the time. But with her, she knows how I think. We live wrestling every day. It's all we talk about, really. You just ask her, she'll tell you. And I don't mind that. I know some people, they have wrestling and then they have the rest of their life. For me, wrestling is my life.
Now, I think that brings us to our next segment, and that is Jeremy's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
Oh, I could tell you tons of road stories that fit that. Bizarre. So I was actually telling this one. It's a bit of a secondhand story because I wasn't there myself, but it was a crew that. It's just because it's fresh in my mind. It's a really unfortunate. It kind of has a tragic end to it, but it was a story about a crew working for a company called Mainstream Wrestling, or it might have been for UCW at the time, out of the Maritimes here in Canada, so like Nova Scotia, that kind of area. And so I was on a tour, but this was the previous tour. I think it was for Mainstream, and there was a one-way in two directions street, and I think they were running a little bit late to get to the show. This is the not the ring truck, but it was that had the majority of the talent in it. And so there's this stall, but they can't really understand why there's a stall when the other lane seems to be moving just fine. But keep in mind, it's a one-lane lane. So the driver, who I believe, and it's unfortunate if I vilify him in this story, but it was my good friend Dave, who wrestles as the Giant Pharaoh, he pulls into the lane with where the oncoming cars would be. And I guess because there could potentially be cars coming his way, but the coast was clear, he decides to gun it as fast as he can. And he's blowing past cars, and one of the cars they happen to go by actually is the ring truck, which was close to the front of the pack. And again, still not realizing why all those cars are stopped, he guns it, and then he kind of hits like a speed bump, what he felt was like a big speed bump. And then I guess didn't realize it at the time, but was told by the ring truck people that why the cars were stopped was because it's a turtle that was crossing the road. And Dave, unfortunately, in his hurry to get to the show and get traffic, a man who by his own admission has a fairly heavy foot, drove over the turtle, launched it into the air. And I remember hearing this story and him saying, and then we did the research and we learned that turtles usually only grow to that size if they've lived for close to 100 years or so. So that was a turtle. That was a turtle that had more than most of our parents. And so, unfortunately, I think it met its end that day. It met its demise. So, lesson to the wise out there. Sometimes the tortoise doesn't always beat the hare, but be careful where you drive.
Sounds like the tortoise don't beat the car.
Well, I mean, it's not something I would want to experience. Glad I wasn't there. Just you gotta sometimes slow down and make sure you're not hurting any of God's creatures out there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you said, you've got a lot of road stories yourself.
Yeah.
I can't imagine something bizarre hasn't happened to Jeremy Prophet on the road.
That's something what hasn't happened to me?
Something bizarre hasn't happened.
I mean, I don't know. I keep my guard up. I'm not the kind of, I don't play ribs on people. I give out an aura of I don't want you to mess with me. And luckily, knowing how, wrestling and how people, the bullying and all those, first of all, bullying wouldn't happen to me because, I stand up for myself. I will fight. If someone wants to mess with me, believe me, they're going to get it back tenfold. I'm the kind of guy that you bruise my arm, I'm going to slit your throat. I stand up for myself. I don't, I just don't think that people should mess with other people. That's why I don't. But if people try to mess with me, I'm more than willing to settle the score and balance the ledgers in blood. With that said, I mean, I think about, have I ever been on the other side of that if people tried to mess with me? I think there was someone who once taped my bag to the ceiling of an arena. We were on tour, but that was just kind of a thing of like, oh, well, he won't find his bag here. And, and then when he does, it'll be funny. And, it was whatever. It was mid. But other than that, I can't think of anything. I mean, I've witnessed some guys do some stuff, or I've heard of some doing some stuff that is really not cool. I definitely don't think that anyone should ever tamper with people's things, because the locker room should be a safe area. It should be a place you can just, leave your wallet open on the table, regardless of, money's in there, credit cards or whatever, and no one should bother with it. A good locker room, people police that kind of stuff themselves. But I don't think anyone should ever tamper with people's things. I don't like that kind of stuff. I don't like seeing people picking on rookies. Just really don't like that. I'm a kind of guy, don't do drugs, don't nothing like that. Nothing against people who do, but it's, not my lifestyle choices. But I think a lot of places, it's unfortunate that, like, I'm there to wrestle. And I've been in rooms where, these guys are all here for the after party. They're all here for the merch table. They're all here for it's like, I'm here for the wrestling. I'm here first and foremost to go out there and one, do a better match than all of you. And two, to build a career for myself. So for me, it's very much business first. And if people don't like it, well, too bad. I don't conform to what people want. I'm not that guy. I do me. I walk to the beat of my own drum. And if people don't like it, well, too bad.
Now, you were on PWI's 500 list twice, back in 2022 and 2014. You were number 337 on 22, and in 14 you were 455. What does something like that mean to you, to be on, one of the most memorable lists on pro wrestling?
It means they didn't rank me high enough. But again, what's the criteria? When it comes down to it, I don't think anyone is really ranked appropriately, because think of all the matches that nobody sees. WWE puts on all these house shows that nobody sees. So what are the rankings based? Are the rankings based on fictitious wins and losses? Are the rankings based on fictitious championships? Are the rankings based on match quality? That's a real thing. Are the matches based on revenue accumulated? It's like, again, those kinds of things, yeah, it's cool, but it's like, I know how good I am. And so it's unfortunate that people only think someone's good if they see them in the ring with people who they think are better. And it's why I think it's like, I feel very unaccomplished on the independents, because it's like, okay, put me in the ring with whoever the supposed best in the world is, and let me give them a run for their money. Let me get in there and, rub Roman Reigns' face in the mat. Let me get in there and beat the hell out of Hangman Page or Samoa Joe or whoever. Let me go in there and show that, I belong at the top. And make no mistake, I'm not, just someone who's looking to, I might fit in at the bottom. No, I'm looking to go for the jugular and prove myself against the very best. I fear no one. I fear no one that came out of his mother's womb. And so when it comes down to, I will go toe-to-toe with anybody and show just how good I am. Show just how good my memory, my cardio, my physical fitness, my speaking ability, my everything that I do. I will win on every metric of everything. It will be a flawless victory and a fatality. So, that's unfortunately the way the wrestling business works, because, I've not been in the ring with those people, then I'm not appraised at that level. And it's a bit frustrating because, I do the best match on literally every show I go to. I go coast to coast here in Canada. I wrestle the so-called best, the so-called next big things, and take them to their limit. And I'm just not impressed over and over again with these limited people that are really nothing more than hype and loud fan bases with no actual substance, with people who do the things that I do. So yeah, I know your question was about PWI, but just I have a massive chip on my shoulder because I feel undervalued when I'm rated at that level. And again, see me, see the atmosphere that I create, see the stories that I tell, see the effort that I put into what I do. I mean, you can look at my body of work; it speaks for itself. Hell, you can look at my body, and it speaks for itself. I leave no stone unturned, and am not a jack of all trades. I'm a master of all things professional wrestling. So rankings definitely should be a lot higher.
I will say the number I wouldn't take too personally because I reviewed those lists before, and like Kenny Omega was lower on the list. Only wrestled 4 months out of the 12 months, and he was still ranked higher than Will Ospreay, who worked all 12 months.
Yeah. No, wrestling is subjective,
Right.
and it's like I explained. That you want to know. At least when it comes to Canada, I use this equation, but you can use it anywhere. When you want to know what makes Jeremy Prophet so special, if you've never heard of me before and you think I'm just some random person, it's you look at my skill set. So to compare anybody to me, you need to first take people who are not in as good a shape as me, and then you have to disqualify them. Then you have to take the people who are in better shape than me, but who took steroids and performance-enhancing drugs in order to be able to do that. You got to disqualify all of them too. Now, when it comes to Canada, you're pretty much only left with me just based on that criteria alone. But let's humor the list just for the fun of it. Then you have to take the people who can compete with me on a microphone, who can cut live, pre-taped promos, who can give the same level of acting, of detailed body language, and convey a message verbally and physically by the means of IMO. Then you have to take people who can wrestle the many styles that I can, who can perform at this level, who can wrestle giants, who can wrestle people, who can, do strikes, forearms, chops, punches, kicks that are believable and intense, just as easily as they can do moonsaults, 450s, the entire of maneuvers that I possess. I say it, if Dean Malenko was the man of 1,000 holds, I'm the man of 1,000 moves, because you go online, you watch whoever your favorite wrestlers are, more than likely, all you'll see are the moves in the same sequential order. Same moves. And stuff with the Jeremy Prophet matches that are identical. You will not see that. I can tell many stories. I can do many things. So if you want to compare my to anyone, they have to be able to do all that. And I have not seen the person that can do all that. Not seen them on my television, not seen them across the ring from me.
Well, keeping on, awards you got the Chris Jericho award.
I did.
Obviously Chris Jericho, one of the greatest Canadian wrestlers of all time. So, what did it mean to you to get that award?
It was amazing. It gave me the opportunity to get to train with Lance Storm, but it was more for the praise for Jericho that I was thankful for that someone at his level that's accomplished all the things he has, a Canadian as well, recognizes my talent and my ability. And I got the chance to thank him for that at AEW. And I was just very thankful. It gave me a ton of validation that someone that I admired as much as Jericho saw that I was deserving that. And I told him, I'm going to do the most with this. I'm not someone who's just going to content themselves on the position that life has given me. I'm going to bite and scratch and claw and fight and work, most important of all, to get to where I believe I should be and to do justice to the few people who have helped me along the way, like Chris Jericho.
And, like I've said, you've wrestled the who's who of everybody. And we could be here all day of talking about everybody you've wrestled. The one name that sticks out the most is Rey Mysterio. And you actually have a W on him. Can you tell us about that experience?
It was great. It was in front of 1,000 people at the Metropolis Theater here in Montreal. And Ray was someone that I looked up to. I really felt that Ray's in-ring work in the WWE, well, before that he was very innovative, but his storytelling and his in-ring work in the WWE that spanned from right when he got there in 2002, but really up until like 2010. Ray was one of the best in the world at what he did, and to get to wrestle him, a few years later, it was an honor. Really getting to just go in there, stare him down, work with, and to come away with the victory. It was awesome. I hope I get to wrestle him again before he decides to hang it up. And even more than that, outside of the ring, such a great human being, just a kind, good-hearted individual, a good Christian man. Ray is just really, as much as he is an exemplary wrestler, he's an exemplary human being as well.
All right. Now, you've been on my side of things as well. Can you tell us about Jofo podcast?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in the podcast game a lot longer than people realize. Back when I was in university, a good friend of mine, we had a show on the college radio, and we managed to take that to our Canadian equivalent of ESPN, which was TSN Radio, and we ran with it. A wrestling show, Wrestling Censored was the name of it, and I had a lot of experience in that, and I remember my broadcast colleague, his name is David Simon. He's still doing broadcast and is still running Wrestling Uncensored on a weekly basis. I stepped away because my wrestling career was becoming very demanding. I remember him saying, like, podcasts are the wave of the future. That's the direction things are going in. And he just, he saw around the corner. He saw what was coming. And this is back in like 2010, 2011. He knew that podcasts were going to be like the big boom, and now they're everywhere. I mean, I'm doing one right now, wrestling with entertainment. Don't know which one of us is the wrestling and which one is the entertainment. I'm usually the wrestling, so I guess you must be the entertainment. But yeah, he knew that this was going to be a big thing, and then working with the guys at Jofo, who are, by the way, they were like childhood friends of mine, and so totally unrelated to me. They just started the wrestling podcast, and then they were my friends. The producer Bruno played on like most of the hockey teams that I was on, and so we had a long-standing friendship. And then they brought me on board, and I helped use some of my connections to get us some big names. Brought my brand of entertainment to the show, and yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's also learning at the same time. It's, I get a guest on there. It might be somebody I've shared the ring with. It might be somebody like a Eugene, or we've tried for a long time to get Scott Steiner. Still hope that one happens one day. But like getting someone who is in WWE, who I had been in the ring with or been on a lot of shows, like the Highlanders or Sabu, who I've been on tons of shows with, didn't get to wrestle, but it's fun it's fun and it's business at the same time, because I get to their brain and learn about the wrestling business, even if it's someone I've never gotten to be in the ring with. These are the kinds of conversations that I have with these people, like when I'm on a show with them. I was fortunate a couple of years ago, about I guess 2 years ago now, I did a 3-day tour with the Godfather, and I remember he was just sitting at the front of the bus. Yeah, we had him as a guest. And he was on a tour with me, 3-day tour out in Saskatchewan, sitting at the front of our tour bus, and just by himself, honestly looking bored out of his mind. And then I just was saying, like, I'm just going to go talk to him. And then I sat there at the foot of the bus, just talking to him, picking his brain, learning. And I love that, because I love professional wrestling. I love wrestling more than anything, and I want to learn as much as I can and apply it. I even before doing Jofo in the Ring, like, I had some interviews that I've done that people could maybe dig up, like for Hannah TV. I had interviewed Savio Vega, I had interviewed Haku, Wes Briscoe, a lot of these interviews, and it was great that I get to actually go into their brains, metaphorically, obviously, pick their brains and learn and see their outlook on wrestling and see what works for them. Because obviously anyone who's, made $1 in this business on a big stage, they are doing something right. And so I really enjoyed that, getting to speak to them, but it also helps me as a performer. I'm someone, again, who you can't call me old, but you can't call me new school either, because I believe in both. I believe there's a place for both. I believe it's finding the right balance. It's finding what will engage the audience. They're the boss. They're the ones paying your salary. They're the ones paying for the ticket. So what's old is sometimes new again. But, when people say like, oh, this is old school, we can't do this anymore. Yes, you can. Or they say, oh, this is new way of things. Well, maybe it's not, or it becomes, hey, this is new. Yeah, that's what wrestling is now. So, it helps me stay balanced, being able to do these interviews with legends and an older generation and not lose my attachment to that, while still being able to put out a product that is pleasing to today's crowd. And that's why I think my performances, they please everybody, because it gives everybody what they want. And at the end of the day, you got to give the people what they want. And that comes from having a good brain on you, being able to understand your audience. And that's how you'll be able to get over in front of everybody, is knowing your audience, knowing that you can't just stick to one. And I would never want to be that. I'd never want to be one of these guys who just does the same moves in the same order all the time. That's not me. That's not even challenging. I could do that in my sleep.
What is one of your favorite interviews? And what is one interview where you maybe had one expectation of it going in, but maybe that expectations changed during the interview?
So there's a few that stick out to me as favorites. I had a very insightful interview with TJP. It was actually thanks to a friend of mine, Matt, a good friend of mine. He had a podcast called Wrestling Podcast with Matt. He put me in touch with TJP, and we had a great conversation about the inner workings of WWE, a lot of stuff that doesn't get discussed out in the open. And then I had the chance to meet TJP when I worked Collision the day before Forbidden Door, and we talked about it, and he even said that was one of his favorite podcasts, the interview that I did with him. I'm actually, like, my education is in journalism. I had over 250 published pieces before I ever set foot in a wrestling ring. So it's something I'm passionate about too, is journalism. That interview with TJP, one that I didn't have high expectations for, but turned into a great interview. There's two that come to mind. The one I did with Fred Ottman, who's
Oh yeah.
he was also the Shockmaster. That interview, that was thanks to Jacques Rougeau. He set that one up for us. That was a great interview with a great man. A lot of fun to talk to. Didn't have high expectations for the interview, but wow, I think we covered a lot. And I know that he enjoyed the interview as well. And then also we, for a time, had a little agreement with Ring of Honor, where we were getting talents given to us to do interviews with. And one of those people was Shane Taylor, who I previously not know in way, shape, or form, and today is a pretty good friend of mine. Ironically, we also met for the first time at AEW Collision the day before Forbidden Door. We met for the first time, but we had talked on social media. We had that interview, and I really felt that he was something of a kindred spirit to me in terms of his view of wrestling and his brand and what he's been trying to do. So that was very eye-opening. And another one, I'll actually throw out two more. Again, if people want to go look at the catalog of interviews, two more that I'm very proud of, because I like controversy. I like to look at my show as being like the 2020 of wrestling podcasts. It's not just fluff, it's investigative journalism. So I was very fortunate. I was able to get one of the first interviews with Michael Elgin, following the allegations and his dismissal from or maybe we're supposed to call them TNA now. But very glad I got one of the first interviews with Michael Elgin, who was a bit of a controversial person at the time, but he gave a very candid interview. I said, look, if he's gonna dodge questions, if he's gonna, skirt around certain things, then I'm gonna eat him alive. I will give him no quarter. But he answered everything. He shied away from no question, and it was a hell of an interview. And another one, and I said the same thing, and I was surprised, was we managed to get an interview with Bill DeMott and got to discuss everything. I think it was a 2-part episode. And, I really think we're one of the ones to land a good, solid interview with Bill where he addresses everything. And, I never met him, but speaking to him, he was, again, very open, didn't shy away. And so I enjoy that. I enjoy bringing investigative journalism into wrestling, because wrestling is a thing, for me, wrestling is a serious thing. It's not this ho-hum, kumbaya, getting jiggy with it, Yeah, I get it. These people who are signed to contracts making more money than they ever could, in any other field, I understand. It's a fun thing. But, it's a serious thing too. So I like really getting to the crux of the matter when it comes to a lot of these things that are controversial. And I would never shy away from interviewing anyone as long as they're willing to answer my question, as they're willing to let me cross-examine them in the court of popular opinion. I will interview anyone. I had someone suggest to me, would you, here we go, I'm going to ride the fine line of getting canceled here and whatnot. But I would view even someone controversial like Velveteen Dream. I would, not that I'm a fan of the guy, I'm far from being a fan of the guy, but it's not about, I don't know, just like in wrestling, it's not about always working with people that you like. And again, if they want to submit themselves for an interview, be cross-examined under the court of popular opinion, hey, I'll be happy to do that. I'll be happy to take them up on it. We'll create a great piece of content, and maybe we'll actually get the truth, So that was someone that people have been telling me, oh, you should interview him. Vince McMahon, but that'll be happening. I doubt he'll be saying anything for a while. But I don't shy away from controversy. If they can have Charles Manson be interviewed on 60 Minutes, then I can definitely interview the more toxic people in the world of wrestling and give them a platform to either exonerate themselves or hang themselves.
And that's a great way to looking at it. You can only ask the question. What their answer is, how they present themselves.
Yeah, and all I ask is that they come on and they just tell the truth. Right. Just don't shy away from things. Don't tell me you have, NDAs or make up other things. I understand, obviously, there's legal proceedings going on, and that you just can't do. Right. But if I'm giving you the platform, at least come on and tell the truth and give the audience that. And I mean, whatever, let people make their judgments when they know all of the facts. Because I'm a person who doesn't jump to conclusions until I know all the facts, until I know both sides, and then I make my opinion. And you know what? I'm also open that my opinion can change, but not without first doing due diligence.
Right. All right. And I think that's a great, segue into the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about him. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
My first 3 songs. Oh, I might have to take some time to think here. I mean, I cannot see it beginning with anything other than my actual entrance music, which is Haunted by my project.
Okay.
That song has been so synonymous with my rise, so synonymous with my journey, with all the adversity I've had to fight against. I'm not going to go here and say that I've had a lot of adversity to fight against. I've honestly had a pretty good life compared to a lot of people. I can't complain. But anytime the going has gotten tough, I've managed to work through it, fight through it. And I just feel that song is so synonymous with people having to fight through oppression in all its forms. So that would definitely have to be there. Yeah, that's a deep philosophical question there. What else would be on the soundtrack? Definitely that. It's why it's my entrance music,
Right.
because it's me psyched in and out. It tells me, going out to do this independent show to one day be able to headline WrestleMania. And people are going to say, "Oh, that's delusional. That's why would he say that?" Well, it's like, what are you in the business to do then? That is the pinnacle of professional wrestling. That or getting to be in the main event in Wembley in front of close to 100,000 people. You got to be aiming for the top. You got to high. But what other songs would be on the soundtrack? I would have maybe a little obscure here. Fans of the movie Blade 3, or was it Blade Trinity? Blade 3. There's a song by RZA called Fatal. I think that definitely would have to be in there as well. And feel free to go, Spotify, YouTube, download these if you want to get a sense of it. And the other one that just came to mind was, let me get the name right here, was Kanye West featuring Jay-Z, the song Never Let You Down. So those three would be the soundtrack.
Alright, and a solid 3 picks to say the least.
Yeah.
Now that we got the soundtrack down, then we go to writing the script, and then we go to casting. Who plays Jeremy? And you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Fair enough. Who plays me? I don't see myself in a lot of Hollywood. I don't. I feel like Jessica was asked this question, and the answer, which I'm okay with it, would be Michael B. Jordan. More so Killmonger version of Michael B. Jordan as opposed to Creed version of Jordan.
Right. Alright, so is that your pick?
Yeah, why not? Like I said, I don't see myself represented in it. I don't see someone that looks like me in any of the movies that I watch. That might be the closest thing. I don't, unless we could maybe, I don't know, throw Lenny Kravitz into a time machine or something. I don't see myself represented in mainstream Hollywood.
Hey,
But that was all. But not to deviate. But that was also part of my crusade here in Canada. Is that I don't see myself represented in Canadian wrestling. So I want young kids who go to shows that look like me to see someone like them that's represented, and see someone in there kicking ass and main eventing and winning championships and doing the best damn match on the show.
Oh yeah. Now that we have Jeremy casted, every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Okay, well, definitely we'd have to have Jacques Rougeau in there, because he trained me. He trained me. He's given me so many opportunities. I can't thank enough. I mean, from training me to Wrestling Academy, to just being a mentor, to being that that Alfred figure to Batman. To being the Zordon to all of us, if I could use a Power Ranger reference, to all of us in Wrestling Academy. But he's that mentor, and who would play him? Interesting one. I don't know. Maybe maybe Woody Harrelson, or maybe like Bruce Willis, if he were doing better.
Yeah. Okay. You have 2 more?
2 more, yeah. 2 more. So, I mean, Jessica would have to be in it.
Of course.
And to play Jessica, we could have, let's see, who could there be? It was funny, we were talking about Anna Paquin playing Rogue in the X-Men movies, and then if I said that, she would kill me and wouldn't even be for it, because Anna Paquin, whatever, fellow Canadian, but whatever. Her performance as Rogue left a lot to be desired. I feel like the easy way would be to say someone like Scarlett Johansson or someone like that. But let me put a little bit more thought into it. Let me think here. This would be a great time for a commercial break. Don't forget to like, subscribe, however it works on this platform. Download the platform.
Yes.
Who would play Jessica? You know, I'll probably
If you
get it wrong.
If you need time to
Well,
think, we could come back to the question, or we could
Sure, but
or we could leave it to casting.
you asked for 3, so then there needs to be a third one as well.
Right.
So who would be a figure? And that they can't play themselves.
I mean, they can. They're not legally obligated to make a Stanley S cameo.
I mean, they could do like The Rock and Fighting for My Family and just show up as The Rock.
Exactly.
Yeah. Let me think here. So I don't know. I'm tempted because he's been someone who's just been so helpful in my career. And again, I gotta thank the people who've been helpful, who take a chance on me. And so I'd want to say someone. Anyone who would want to go see any kind of a show, whether it be wrestling, whether it be the Go Big show, whether it be.
I apologize, but you cut out. Who did you want in your movie? The third one?
Cody Rhodes.
Oh, Cody.
The American Nightmare. Cody Rhodes. A man who, it still blows my mind to this day that, we're friends, that I can, pick up the phone and shoot him a message. It's, and we'll talk. And, he's someone who has just done so much for me in wrestling, not just learning from him at the Nightmare Factory, but, just took a liking to me and our story. And we were actually supposed to wrestle for Wrestle Center in the Maritimes here in Nova Scotia when he had left WWE, and then the match never panned out. And he's always said to me, we're going to get it back. And I think, what better of a storyline to carry a movie than that? And Cody's a great actor. Whether it be in wrestling, whether it be on the Go Big show, that reality show that he was on, whether it be on Roads to the Top. Cody's awesome. Definitely someone who'd be deserving of his spot in the Marvel Cinematic Universe or anywhere on a big screen. And we will get his opportunity to finish his story and win the WWE Universal Championship at WrestleMania coming up in not too long. But yeah, Cody would definitely have to be in there just for the huge impact that he's had on my career. And not even just that, but just for being a great human being and for being a good friend. Like I said, Cody's legend. Can't say enough good about Cody and how he continues to this day to help me. And I do think we'll get that match back. That's what I'm aiming for.
Hell yeah, you finished that story.
That's my story. At least that's a part of it. But that's a promise that he intends on keeping, and we're working on it. We're working on making it happen. Still thinking about who would play Jessica. I'm going through a bunch of people here. Maybe thinking of all the ones I could say that would upset her. Like I like Keaton, who played Jean Grey in the X-Men movie, but Jessica's not a fan of hers. But the red hair and I feel that could be done. Or who else could play Jessica? I feel like I don't know how size-wise she compares, but I feel like Hilary Swank got pretty jacked for $1 Million Babies, so she could maybe do that. And she's one of my favorite actresses too. Yeah, maybe I'll go with Hilary Swank to play Jessica.
All right. It's sounding like a solid movie, to say the least. And you could pre-order the tickets now.
Exactly. Yeah, it will definitely not be straight to DVD or streaming. That will get a full in-theater presentation.
Blockbuster, $1 billion budget.
Oh yeah, the Golden Globes. We're going to take the People's Choice, and we're going to take the Oscar.
Oh yeah. On
It's going to be the clean sweep.
Onto a controversial subject.
Let's do it.
Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Yeah, if people like that, sure. I've had pineapple pizza. It's okay. It's okay. Not a hater.
It sounds like you're leaning more towards anti rather than pro.
I'm not a hater. Again, wouldn't be my first choice, but hey, if there's a pineapple sitting on the table and it's a day where I'm allowed to eat that, then I'm all for it.
Okay. What's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh, that is a hard one, and I am such a at the risk of losing my street cred. I'm such a big Pokemon fan. That just I like beyond human. My spirit Pokemon.
Yes.
Well, Jessica and I often say that we're like Espion and Umbreon. That like I'm the Espion that can kind of and she loves cats. We both do. Like the Espion and Umbreon, where I'm the Espion that can kind of beat everything that comes up against it, except Umbreon is the kind of the bogey, is the one that can just tap me and then lose. That's me and her. So she's Umbreon and I'm Espion. Would that be my spirit Pokemon though? So in a lot of ways, believe it or not, and I'm going to tie this back to wrestling. There's a scene in Pokemon. I believe it's in the third season. I want to say it's the third season. It might be the second season, but I think it's the third season, where there's a battle between a wild Chikorita and Charizard.
Yes, I remember that episode.
Yes. And the Chikorita, which will then become Ash's Chikorita by the end of the episode, ends up beating the Charizard in the battle. It does a Vine Whip, it trips it, Charizard takes a bump, Chikorita wins, which you'd think that not only being a Pokemon that's weak against fire, but also so much smaller, it would have no chance. And it's funny because leading up to my match with Hobbs, which I learned about that like the week of, so I had 6 or 7 days to prepare, and I think we had seen the episode around that time. We're actually watching through all the seasons, kind of around there. And I said, okay, this is what my fight with Hobbs needs to be, because Chikorita did not show fear in the face of this thing that is larger and everyone is telling them it's going to hurt them. It's like, no, I'm the one that's the dangerous one. I'm going to win that battle. So not to say that Chikorita is my spirit Pokemon, but in that moment, it very much exemplified the Jeremy Prophet fighting spirit of, I don't care how big you are, how dangerous you are. You could be the great Khali, you could be Brock Lesnar. I don't care who you are. I will not go down without a fight. I will not get down on my knees, submit, and just have you have your way with me. You're in for a fight. Everyone has to breathe. Everyone needs 2 eyes to see. There are a lot of ways to hurt a man. And so when it comes to fighting, I will fight with all my heart. And I don't care how outgunned you might think I am. Understand, I'm the danger. I know how to hurt people. So they say size doesn't matter. Size does matter. Size very much. But I am a threat. I'm a kind of person that I will hurt. I look, you might beat me. You might kill me. But I'm taking you with me. Don't care who you are. And, that's such a... choose a spirit Pokemon, I think it would actually be Lucario.
Lucario.
Yeah, I think it would be Lucario. I think that Lucario also encompasses the fighting spirit that I have, and the anger. So, yeah, I think honorable mention to Chikorita.
Okay. Now,
Yeah, I have a vast Pokemon. I have a vast Pokemon knowledge. Like I never stop being a fan. At the risk of all my street cred going out, I know my Pokemon like I know my wrestling. Maybe not as much as I know my wrestling, but I know my Pokemon.
Oh yeah. Now, we love the late great Tracy Smothers on the show. do you know the acronym for Thug? THUG.
No, I don't.
T is for terrible, H is for hell, U is for ugly, and G is for jail. Because a Doug can't spell.
I like that. And I like Tracy Smothers. I mean, my first memory of Tracy Smothers was his upset victory over Justin Hawk Bradshaw back in the 90s.
Oh, yeah. We love the late, great Tracy Smothers. We're trying to keep the memory alive here on the show.
And that's actually a good example of what I was just talking about, that that match with Bradshaw, Justin Hawk Bradshaw was getting the big push and whatnot, going through guys, branding them and all that kind of stuff. And here came Tracy Smothers, who was just, a tough as nails, no-nonsense guy who wasn't going to let himself be bullied. And that's very much me. I don't let myself get bullied in life or in wrestling. So I actually think that's an incredible segue that you just did there.
Now, the weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully, would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Not a golem.
Huh?
Not a golem.
No, just like about the size. It's about the size of a shoe, I would say.
Yeah, I'd wrestle a Rock. Yeah, why not?
Okay. Well, just for context, there's a wrestler that you probably know named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Yeah. I've wrestled Psycho Mike. I actually did an outstanding triple threat match with Psycho Mike and a man who was the WWE UK champ at the time, Pete Dunne. We actually had a triple threat match for the UK championship, I believe, on a show for Destiny Wrestling. And so I know Psycho Mike quite well, and that match, that was one of my best matches of that year.
It would be great to see Psycho Mike wrestle, actual people every now and again.
He doesn't wrestle people anymore?
Well,
I think he does.
The Rock, he's wrestled himself, he's wrestled the dog, so, I'm just making a joke over here.
Well, hey, some people wrestle with their demons in many ways. That's just a way to, kind of give that a physical.
Yeah, and I mean, he's the Smash Wrestling champion right now, so he's
expression. So,
yeah,
I mean, let's face it, he's called Psycho Mike, so we know he's got a few screws loose up there.
Oh, hell yeah. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years, I would say, hopefully on top, champion in one of the major companies, WWE, AEW, TNA, or overseas, just, but I mean, no, I'll limit it to here in North America. Those are the three ones that love to see myself on top of there. Love to see myself on television, getting the chance to showcase all of my skills, my speaking ability, my appearance, my in-ring ability on a weekly basis. Want the chance to show that I'm as good as I say I am. Even if, one of those companies wants to give me a chance to fail, give me the chance to fail. Give me, 8 to 10 minutes to go there with someone they think is going to mop the floor with me and watch what I do with them. That's what I want. That's what it'll take to open people's eyes to be like, wow, how has a talent this good gone under the radar for so long? And then there, sky's the limit. But I know I can hit home runs week after week after week. I have enough confidence to know that, and I don't need the approval of anyone else. I know in my heart I can deliver company, and just waiting for that opportunity, waiting and working and sharpening all my tools to show them a wrestler like they've never seen before.
And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about?
Any of my matches with Speedball Mike Bailey.
Hell yeah.
Yep. We started pretty on the day. and been friends ever since. One of my best opponents says the same thing about me. You know, he praises me the same way he praises Will Ospreay. And yeah, go out and any of our matches are on YouTube. Yeah, by far matches that I'm extremely proud of, and I hope we get to mix it up again. I think that we're a great match. I think that I'm very much the Scorpion to his Sub-Zero, the Ken to his Ryu.
I love that comparison.
Yeah.
Right, and I will
Yep.
find a match between yourself and Speedball on YouTube, and I will put a link to it in the description of the video below. But on YouTube and Castbox for anybody that hasn't seen it, wants to see it, wants to re-see it after this interview. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Let's do it.
This is our speed round, our bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
It's just wrestling, like I said before, Christian Cage.
Worst wrestler.
Worst. Wow. Not sure how the rules play into this. There are a couple of one-offs. There that were pretty bad. So I assume you probably mean, just for clarification, someone who wrestled, not like someone came in and did one match and they were like god awful. Like we're not talking like a David Arquette. We're talking like someone who actually performed.
I mean, if you want to say David Arquette, you can. You know, if they've had matches, then yes. If they've competed in the ring.
Oh man. Okay, let me. Comes to mind as the worst wrestler.
Would you like our default answer?
Sorry, what?
Would you like our default answer?
Yeah, because I can probably defend it. But yeah, what's the default answer?
You have chosen Eva Marie.
Oh no. Go watch her match with Asuka. You can't call her the worst. Absolutely not. I won't. No. Not even close.
Hey,
like,
you're the one that chose her.
No, not and even at that, someone, you know, being subjective here, someone like Cameron was far less talented than Eva Marie. Maxine Dupree, far less talented than Eva Marie. You know, maybe I'll have to work with her one day, but like, you know, it's again, she's learning too. Eva Marie, look, go watch her match with Asuka, which speaks to why Asuka is the greatest women's wrestler of all time, everyone considered. But no, there was a match that comes to mind. You'll need to help remind me. I believe it was in TNA that like Charmel had a match with someone.
Charmel had a match in TNA.
I believe Charmel had a match with someone. It was terrible. There's also another terrible match with what is her name? With Shelly Martinez and some other woman. But there. Matches. I think that the other person, I think her name was like Jenna Maraska or something like that, wrestled Charmel, and I feel that person, that Jenna, whoever, be the worst wrestler of all time.
Yes,
I believe it was
yes, Jenna Maraska.
Jenna Maraska. Yeah, she was the worst wrestler of all time.
Okay.
Eva Marie looks like Bryan Danielson compared to Jenna Maraska. You can't, like, I mean, when you say someone's the worst of all time, it's like, again, Eva Marie, say what you will about her, has actually one good, memorable match. And she may have even had more. But again, go watch her match from NXT with Asuka. You can't say it's a bad match. So if you're able to have at least one good match, then you're not the worst of all time. Some people have never had a good match.
Well, that's not like my personal preference, but that was the most. That was the name given the most without, you know, a prompt to, you know, a default answer.
Yeah,
so it became
but again,
default answer.
I mean, I think there are still people featured on current mainstream TV that are worse wrestlers than Ava Marie. But and at least Ava Marie has a good look. So.
All right. You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Yeah. Cody Rhodes. Or Roman Reigns.
Let's make it a triple threat.
Why not? We'll finish 2 stories at the same time.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Whew. And I'm a big fan of wrestling entrance music. I have to say, currently, that song that Roman Reigns has is very on point.
Okay.
Very on point for a current song, which the current music to be is hit and miss, but that one very on point. But honorable mention to maybe just because it's been on my play lately, but Triple H had this song just before he went to Motorhead, and I think it's called the Game. No, because so he had My Time, and then while they were kind of tweaking with it, they were trying to figure out some kind of way to update it. And then eventually they got Motorhead to do it because I think he's buddies with Motorhead. I don't really know. But he won. I think it was most notably at Survivor Series 2000. That was kind of like a hybrid of My Time. Like they updated it, but it wasn't quite the Game. And I've been listening to it. They actually released a rap version of it on WWE Anthology. But like recently they did Uncaged, probably a couple of years ago, and they released that one. It's called Game Time. And man, the song so hard. I encourage you, look it up. Look up Game Time. That song, man, that one hits. I could see myself coming out to that.
I'm gonna have to research that because I don't think I've heard. Usually it's My Time to the Game. So I'm gonna have
No, so if you watch Survivor Series 2000, the one Austin picked up Triple H in a crane and dropped him. He was like in a car and he dropped him from the crane. That one. You'll see the song that Triple H comes out to. It's My Time. There's no lyrics in it. They hadn't gotten the lyrics to it yet. And then he started using The Game, which I personally feel was a downgrade. I never really liked that song. I like King of Kings. King of Kings is a banger, but that one. Game Time is what it's called. Just search on YouTube, Game Time. It's on Uncaged from Jim Johnson.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. Right.
Yeah, I could do a whole podcast wrestling music. I absolutely love the theme music. WWE, AEW, great stuff.
Me and my co-host are doing our top 10 entrance themes in a future episode, and I'm still trying to figure out what my top 10 are. It's like almost impossible.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's a lot of great ones. I love wrestling entrance music. I used to, go on forums and boards and, just like a lot of it gets released, even in my younger days, in the early days of the internet and stuff.
Right. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Say it again?
Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
I'm actually not understanding the words. What's the first?
Finish the sentence.
Yes, that part.
Kayfabe is...
K-A?
Kayfabe.
Is?
Kayfabe?
Oh, kayfabe.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, kayfabe.
Yeah. Kayfabe is...
Gotcha. Kayfabe is very much alive, just evolving into something different.
Okay. we would have also accepted taste great on toast.
Sure.
Squash.
At first, I thought you were saying Kane is,
No.
and that could open up a whole other world of discussions.
No. This is not wrestling with politics. Squash. Vegetable or fruit?
Vegetable.
It is indeed a fruit.
Like one of those. I didn't know it was a question. I thought it was just like it was kind of one of those things that's ambiguous and. But okay, it's a fruit. Okay.
Tomato logic. It has seeds.
Yeah, gotcha.
New Japan Pro Wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question: what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I think that the entire butt cheek should be covered, and I think it should be well stitched so that it does drop, so that you're not, getting wedgied and whatnot. Especially if you're in there with me, like I'm a manhandler. I'm a rough, vicious competitor. So you should your butt cheeks covered for when someone grabs a hold of the back of your trunks and they're sending you out of the ring or sending you into the barricade. Definitely no butt cheek.
Okay, full coverage.
Yeah, as a guy who wrestled in trunks for a good part of his career, I don't wrestle in them that much these days. I still do from time to time. I think that you need the whole butt cheek covered and good enough stitching.
Okay. And
yeah, and always tie your drawstring. When people ask me for advice, so there I could tell a funny little anecdote there, if we have time for it. Was a buddy of mine going to the ring. And these things bother me. Like when someone's drawstring is hanging out, they just look like you look like a schlub going to the ring like that. And so I tell my buddy, I'm like, hey, you're gonna make your entrance here. So your opponent's already on his way to the ring. You might want to tie your drawstring. So then I turn to another buddy of mine and I'm like, hey, can you, and he's also been in the business maybe a little bit, just a couple of years longer than me. And I tell him, hey, I want to tell this young buck over here, not actually one of the young bucks, but tell this young buck over here the importance of tying his drawstring. To which my good friend responds, oh, well, pair of trunks, I just got them and they fit so well. I just took the damn thing right out. So for those of you listening at home, don't do that, please. We don't need that on shows. Tie your drawstring. There's only one person who doesn't need to tie his drawstring, and that's Sexy Eddie, because he's been doing it for years, and somehow he's managed to keep his junk in his trunk.
Yeah, made a career out of it.
Yeah.
All right, and the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
No. Although I did once share a law with Darby Allin, for whatever that's worth.
But not a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin.
Not that I know of. No. Would love to wrestle the guy one day. Throw him around like a ping pong ball. Would love to.
And there's the correct
Darby Allin. Darby Allin. He kind of like, if we're doing a Pokemon race, he kind of reminds me of like a Dust Skull.
Oh my God, you're absolutely right.
Yeah, kind of like a Dust Skull.
All right, and that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
I love it. I would much rather be talking wrestling. The only thing I love more than talking wrestling is actually doing wrestling.
I think we could do a whole episode just about talking about Pokemon as well.
Yeah, we could do that. Pokemon, wrestling themes, all that stuff, that's all in my wheelhouse.
Oh yeah. And once again, can you tell us where we can find you on social media and your merchandise?
Absolutely. You can find me. I mean, just look up Jeremy Prophet on any platform. JEREMYPREHE. I have a Facebook page. I have at the Real Jeremy Prophet on Instagram and on Twitter at Jeremy Prophet. It's just Jeremy Prophet right across the board. Punch that into your engine, and you will find my lovely body of work in its many, many forms. 19 years strong, no injuries, and getting better and better. Some people say that, and it's a cliche, and it's the God's blessed truth. Getting better and better every day, and looking forward to achieving great things, just, waiting for the right opportunity to come along that I can seize, and then we're off. Get in at the ground floor. Get in before I make it big, because if you've listened to this entire interview, you know that I talk the talk. But believe me, I also walk the talk. So you want to get on this train before it leaves the station. They ain't going to be stopping us. And then you'll be able to say, hey, I knew this guy before he made it big, but I knew he was going to make it there. So yeah, that's me. Find me, talk to me. I'm all about giving the people what they want.
And where can we find your merchandise as well?
You got to come to the show for that. I mean, just shoot me a message. Tell me what you want. I got shirts. I got pictures. I'm not a big merch guy, to be honest. It's some people, like, they live off of that, and that's good. And I like making money. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not. If you have some requests for merch, that might be fun. I'm looking for ideas for what to do, but I'm not a very big merch guy. But I got some shirts. I got some 8x10s. And if you can think of something outside the box that you'd like to see with image and likeness on it, then yeah, I can accommodate that too. So just shoot me a message, or any of my fan pages, my team. I got eyes on those pages like 24 hours a day. I got people I work for me, but I don't pay them. At least not in dollars and cents. But definitely, I'll get back to you. It's a thing that I'm big on. I'm very big on getting back. Not enough people do it in wrestling, but I don't like to leave anyone on red. That actually goes out to, even a few promoters that I sent some messages to today. Don't leave people on red, because when people make it big, they remember these. So I don't leave people on red, even if it's just like, to give a quick response back to say I'm working on it. If top level people in this business can get back to me right away, then I have to pay it forward and do the same. So if there's something you want, like I said, I'm all about giving the people what they want.
And you don't.
It's why, if I can just put an exclamation point, it's why I did this interview with you.
And from my perspective, from somebody that sees a lot of red messages, God bless you.
Well, yeah, I mean. And they just, you see it's red, and that's it. Like, you're not worth their time. And it's like, okay. And maybe in the past I've been guilty of that, of not responding. But when you think about it, it's like, no one should have to feel that way. It doesn't take a lot of time to just say, yeah, I'll get back to you, or just something. And it absolutely makes my day when I reach out to people, high level people, when I'm looking for opportunities. And they actually get back to me, and they get back to me right away. That I never want someone to feel like I'm shutting them out. And I'm a straightforward guy. It's like, if I don't want to talk to somebody, I'll tell them I don't want to talk to them. But it's common courtesy and human decency that, like, someone takes the time to write to you, to give them something back. They cared enough to write to you. So have that same kind of thing. Don't create a vicious circle, cutting people out, and then they do the same to other people. We gotta break that cycle and make sure that we're making this world a much nicer place.
Oh yeah. And you don't have to type it into your Google machine. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt.
And to that point also, if you're listening to this and you have a show of your own, I will be more than happy to go on as a guest. to give you an interview, free of charge. I'm not one of these guys who's going to try to make $1 off you. I want to help put some money in your pocket. So, for me, I just want to get my message out there. I want to be able to get people see what I'm all about. So if you're, they say, what's that old expression? You should be seen and not heard. Well, with me, I want to be seen and heard. So if you hear me, you're going to see me. Listen to this. You want me for an interview? You like what you hear? You want to dig a little deeper into this? Hey, that's the domino effect of doing podcasts. Mi casa es su casa. I'll be happy to get on there and give you all the tea, as the young people say.
Oh, yeah. Of course, thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, comment. But on YouTube and Castbox, this was sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. Join us next Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews. And follow the show at Wrestling with E, but on X, Thread, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing them, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, Jeremy, when I say wrestling with, you say entertainment, okay?
You got it.
For our very special guest, Jeremy Prophet, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with
Entertainment. You might have noticed the way I said entertainment or entertainment at the end there. That, believe it or not, it's an homage to Pat Patterson, who was one of the people who was helpful to me. I got a lot of opportunities because of Pat with WWE, and almost got a job there because of Pat and him fighting for me. And that's always been a thing with Pat Patterson, is he's always been a guy who fought for the little guy. I trained with Sylvain Grenier for a couple of years, and we know him and Pat Patterson were pretty close. And he would always talk about how Pat was the main voice in WWE creative, fighting for guys like Rey Mysterio, like Eddie Guerrero, saying that these guys should be world champions. And he'd get a lot of blowback of, these guys are not big guys, they're not like 6'4", 275. We need those kinds of guys as champions. And he would say to them, and I can hear it just like it was yesterday, he'd say, what is the name of the business that we're in? It's called entertainment. It's show business. Who cares if those guys aren't that big? The people love them. That's all that matters. It's entertainment. And that's why they should be world champions. And he fought for them. He fought for the little guys. And I think it's a credit to his legacy that at least there was someone like him who would stand up for guys who, maybe didn't have the size, but that shouldn't matter. It's not about how big you are. It's about how well you do the job, how over you are.
Hell yeah.
And I really wish I would have said this on air, because it's a great story. We're still recording, I hope, right?
We're recording now.
It says we are. Yeah, it says we are. So, it's I think it's a good note to end on. Pat Patterson, he's from here. He's from Quebec, and did a lot for the talent from here to get them opportunities and to open a lot of doors. Similar to like what Jacques Rougeau is doing now with Wrestling Academy, where he's taking talent from all over Canada and giving them a chance to perform here in Montreal. It's the opportunity that he gave me that allowed me to go to the Nightmare Factory. Jessica and I to go to the Nightmare Factory. So it's good to see at least somebody's following in those footsteps. And I can't thank Jacques enough for what he's doing. And I think a lot of the talent in Canada are very appreciative to be given that opportunity. And hopefully it continues. And hopefully a lot of the great talent from Canada will get opportunities and will get signed. Hopefully, the big companies will finally look to Canada and see that we have talents that can be world champions, that can be game changers within the industry of professional wrestling.
For sure. And thank you for sharing this little Easter egg after on here with Wrestling with Entertainment after the interview.
Yep. I'm just glad you were still recording.
Just coined that right now.
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.